There's a legend that during the time of the Great Treks, during the mid to late 1800s, a man named Franz Lottery went on a quest by himself, lived a hermit's life, known sometimes as the Wild Lottering, and he ended up stumbling upon a pot of gold and some other treasures which he buried. And this area where he would have been the Limpopo Valley, around where the Shashi and Limpopo rivers meet. It was a legend and it was quite famous amongst locals. Now, a few decades later, during the early 1930s, when the Great Depression hit, Great Depression obviously caused by the 1929 stock market crash, a number of Afrikaner families in the region were in a lot of poverty at this point in time. And a family, the Van Krantz, they went on a quest to find the riches that this legend spoke about. And they went to locals who had stories about riches and gold. And they found one named Moena. And he refused to tell them where the site of this was. These stories of this golden hill and things like that, because the hill was sacred to them. So the local would not cooperate too much with the Van Krantz. But they did find an unnamed local, some believe was Moena's son, and he guided them to this hill, which is today known as Mapungubwe Hill, possibly a Shivenda word meaning place of jackals. And because the hill was so sacred and feared amongst locals, he had his back towards it when he pointed them in the direction. So on the 31st of December is when he pointed the Van Krantz to this hill. And then they went up and they found a lot of treasures and possibly looted as much as 75 ounces of gold, which they divided amongst themselves. Afterwards, the son, Van Krantz's son, he was a former student at the University of Pretoria, and he contacted his professor. And the University of Pretoria got involved in 1933, and the site began to slowly be excavated. And what was still remaining on the site were quite a lot of treasures. And this was a time during the Barry Hertzog government, and then later on, the 1940s, you're going to have the National Party government. And this kind of discovery was kept very under wraps because it challenged a lot of the assumptions of the time about what the region was like prior to the arrival of Europeans. And if you have a large gold mining, iron producing civilization, which we today call Mapungubwe, on southern Africa, where the Shashi and Limpopo rivers meet, it would have been very controversial at the time. So there was a lot of secrecy amongst this discovery.